Picture this. It's 6 p.m. after a long day at work and you want to unwind. So you open up a bottle of wine, you order takeout, your favorite takeout, and you start scrolling through social media. And time really flies by. So you got to wake up the next day, you got to go to bed. In that moment, that feels good, right? But it's difficult to fall asleep, it's difficult to stay asleep. And the next day, you feel that you're going through the motions, that you're not feeling excited, that you're looking for the next feel good moment. What if I told you that you were running on pleasure instead of happiness? And knowing the difference between those two can actually change the way you make choices. As a society, we're living through a cultural crisis where we think that happiness and pleasure are interchangeable. And the funny thing is that our brain understands these two emotions, which are positive emotions, very differently. And what if I told you that one of those emotions it's actually damaging your brain? To dig deeper into the difference between happiness and pleasure, we go and read Hacking the American Brain by Dr. Robert Lustig, where he actually talks about many differences between the two positive emotions and how they are affecting your brain. But the main difference would be that pleasure is short lived. It's the rush, it's the hit, it's very visceral. While happiness can be very ethereal, it is about the connection and it's about the empathy and the sense of I have it. I don't need anything else. Another big distinction about happiness and pleasure, it's that pleasure it's about taking, while happiness is giving. So, for example, it's taking the next glass of wine. It's the rush that you get from having a notification in your phone. And happiness, on the other hand, it's about those connections that you build. Oh, I got to help someone. I helped this person, or I was fully present with a friend and we got to talk about this very interesting topic. It's very much giving into the conversation and giving into the connection. But let's dive deeper into the science of it all, because understanding what's going within your brain can help you make this two emotions feel very different. Pleasure runs on dopamine. This is a neurotransmitter that so pleasure runs on dopamine. And what happens when dopamine is released is that it excites the next neuron and then the next and then the next. And when dopamine hits your brain, it's very challenging for the neurons and it gets this feeling of I want more and I need more. And here's what's interesting. Too much excitement can actually be damaging. So our brains have this defense mechanism where they actually downregulate. So what that means is that you would need a little bit more excitement or a little bit bigger of a hit so you actually get the same level of excitement. And that's what really addiction is about. So you get the hit, your receptors reduce, and then you need a bigger hit. Does that sound familiar to you? That is called tolerance. So we create a tolerance for pleasure. So we actually need a little bit more excitement so we feel the same level that we used to feel before. So that it's what's damaging to our pathways, and that it's a pathway really to addiction. On the other hand, happiness runs on serotonin. Serotonin, it's actually an inhibitor. And what that is interesting about is that our receptors don't activate as much. And instead, it provides that feeling of contentment of, okay, I'm fine. I'm okay with this. I don't need more. And that's the beauty of serotonin. You actually appreciate the moment, the present, instead of thinking, oh, what's next? And here's the tricky part. So, dopamine actually downregulates serotonin. So, the more pleasure you seek, the less happy you will be. And the less happiness. But here's a crucial part: dopamine downregulates serotonin. In other words, the more pleasure you seek, the less happy you will be. It's like being on opposite sides of a seesaw. From a behavioral standpoint, pleasure is that whisper of, I want more, I need more, and chasing. While happiness, it's that whisper of, I feel happy, I feel content, I don't need anything else. And here's what people don't realize: addiction is not just to substances. Addiction can actually happen when want becomes a need. So, for example, oh, I need my cup of coffee in the morning, or I need a sweet treat after dinner, or I need to have my phone on me all the time because I need to know what's going on out there. So, what happens with addictions is that you have a trigger and you have a variable reward. And since the reward changes every time, it keeps us hooked and it keeps us guessing. And that's very interesting for us. And that is where we find pleasure. Pleasure becomes the autopilot in our lives. Pleasure becomes the acting without thinking, and it's going through the motions. But there is a way out of it, and it's through happiness. If we start seeking happiness instead of pleasure, it means that we are downregulating and that we're looking for something to live long term instead of the short runs of pleasure. But how do we get happy, or how do we seek happiness? That's a big question. But there are 4 little things that we can do in our daily lives that can help us. So the first one would be connection. Seeking interpersonal connections, dig deeply into your connections, empathic connections, can actually rewire you. The second one would be contribute. It's give outside of yourself. Create something that gives you purpose and that helps you get out in the morning. It's, oh, I'm creating something, I'm doing something for somebody else. The third one would be coping. So it's very important to cope with life. So have a sleep schedule and take care of it. Really try your best to go to sleep at the same time every night. Follow your natural rhythms. Try not to use your phones at night. That activates the blue light and it gets you up and it gets you excited. Also, it's very important that you're not multitasking. So when you're constantly multitasking, you're not present in the moment. And it creates a pathway to pleasure where you get a lot of inputs all the time, but not through happiness. The fourth C, it's to cook. So we don't know what's going into our foods when we order takeout or when we go out to eat. So it's very important to take care of your nutrition and have a rich diet in tryptophan, which could be found on flax seeds or in fish. Also omega-3. Both of those things can help you boost your serotonin. Also, avoiding excess sugar. Sugar is the pathway to pleasure. It's that spike in your insulin, and that is pleasure. So here's what's beautiful about it. Understanding the difference can make you feel more conscious and can lead you to better decision making. So it's thinking before acting. It's being present in the moment instead of being an autopilot. When you understand that the habit of drinking wine every night or seeking sugar after every dinner can actually be hurting you and can actually be boosting your dopamine and reducing your serotonin, you can start asking yourself the question of, oh, what am I seeking here? Am I seeking connection? Am I seeking relaxation? Am I seeking a sense of completion through my day? When we ask ourselves the question, we choose. And it's more from the awareness instead of from the habit. What would really happen to you if you could distinguish between pleasure and happiness, between the two voices of I want more and I need more, with the voice of, oh, this is enough, I feel content? What would change in your daily life if you had this big difference and you acted based on answering these questions? So you don't have to choose at the end of the day between happiness and pleasure, but understanding the difference and understanding what's guiding you and what's leading you can help you make real choices for yourself.